All of this is very sobering. Truth tellers and truth seekers are winning right now, and all other systems are crumbling. Welcome to Candid Wisdom, the podcast, a safe place where we can discuss church reformation and what we can do about it right now. My name is Twila Williams. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about how to love our enemies. And specifically, who is our enemy? So I'm guilty of assuming that everybody knows what I know. It's easy for us to think that that's common sense, or everybody should know that, or there's so much information out there nowadays, we just assume that everybody consumes the same type of information that we do. But that is not always the truth, right? So I want to make sure that we as a community are all on the same page. And so the first thing I want to clarify is that we are in a new era. We're in the era of truth. Now, I don't know if you saw the podcast with Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp, but he made a very profound statement, and he said that this is the year of the truth. That was in 2024. This is the era of truth, and everything that was in the dark was going to come to the light. And we have seen that since 2024 until now, and it's going to continue to be the era of truth. Truth tellers and truth seekers are winning right now, and all other systems are crumbling. Okay, so with that as our base, I am going to reveal the truth of the entire world system. And some of this may not be easy to hear. Some of this you may already know. Just know that I'm going over this information, like I said, so that we can all be on the same page. So what do we know? All of this is very sobering. And I liken the revelation of the truth and what I'm starting to understand to the grief process. It's just like the grief process. So first, I was in denial, right? So I've talked about this before. I didn't want to come out against the church. I didn't want to come out against organized religion because I didn't want us to take another hit in our reputation. So the first was denial. But of course, this passion was burning on my heart for many years. And the next thing that came up in the grief process is anger, right? Like, this is not fair. I don't want to do this. Why can't we just get it together? And then was bargaining. Lord, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Isn't there anybody else out there? But now I am starting to see other people saying the same thing that I was told 5 years ago. And now I'm straddling somewhere in between depression and acceptance, right? Because it's very sad to see that so many things have been going on for so long, and we've all just kind of just allowed it to be. I mean, we've known for quite some time that the government, for the most part, is a corrupt entity. I mean, we've been in denial about that. Or we just thought, well, maybe if this person gets in office, if that person gets in office, right? In '08, I'll be honest, I voted for Obama because I believed that he would change things. He had a fresh perspective. He had new ways of talking, new ways of thinking. He was talking about unity, and there was a lot of division. So I believed in that party at that time. And it was the same for me with the current president. I did vote for him 3 times. I believed that he was different, that he was disconnected from career politicians, that he was America first. I believed that I never believed that he was going to be great or that he was a good person. I believed that his political views were different. They were fresh, they were new. And if he had done what he promised he would do, like not get us into continuous wars, to think about the American people when making foreign policy decisions. If he had done what he promised, that we could have a different type of country. And I set aside all of the other things, that people who were racist liked him and things like that. It didn't matter. The bottom line is we were tired of what was old and we were ready for something new. And that is what we are getting, but it's not the way we planned it. right? It's not the way we planned it because God has his own plans. The Bible tells us that. A man may plan his ways, but God has the final say. So here's the truth. We only have one enemy. The spiritual world is real. It's very real. Satan has made contracts with a certain portion of humanity. He always has. He's always found people who would partner with him. And the same is true today. Satan has found a partner in humanity to help him carry forth his plan. Now, he only has one plan since the beginning, is to kill and steal and destroy humanity. He is the counter intelligence. He is the opposite, the counterfeit of everything that God is offering us. And so he wants to win as many souls for his kingdom as possible. That is his goal. It's always been his goal. So that's what we should be thinking when we think about our enemies, when we think about who is actually leading, who is the antichrist, who is in these leaders' ears telling them to do all of the things that wreck societies. The people who are in covenant with Satan have contractual things that they must meet. And this has been true throughout all of history. What are those things? And I'll show you how they are active right now in our time. The fact is, he always requires a blood sacrifice. And usually that blood sacrifice is the sacrifice of children. It's one of humanity's oldest religious practices. And if you don't believe me, you can go ahead and do your research. It appeared independently across many civilizations, from Mesopotamia, which was the cradle of civilization, to ancient Egypt. In Canaan, there were sacrifices. In the Celtic Europe, in Polynesia, all across the world, the devil has always made its leaders sacrifice humans, and specifically sacrifice children. How is that happening in modern times? He's made it legal to have abortions. And it's no disrespect to any of my women sisters out there who have had abortions. Absolutely no disrespect, okay? Because I know that's a decision that has to be made in the moment, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, across the world, there have been laws enacted that make it legal to kill a living being. And there are still legal battles going on to make that something that everybody is able to do. Now, there are some countries that have said no to it, some who said yes, some have said partially, but it doesn't mean that it's not happening just because it's not in the law books. We all know that there's back alley. There's people who will perform this. Why? Because they are under the sway of our enemy. They're under the sway of our enemy, and this is one of the requirements. What's another requirement that the enemy has? It requires war. There's always been war, whether it's been civil war, a world war, a war between countries on the edge of war. And what does war accomplish? It's another part of the human sacrifice. It's not a coincidence that most of the military makeup, even around the world, are 18 to 24-year-old men and women. Those are still very young people who are being asked to put their life on the line for sometimes things that they don't even understand themselves. But because they've signed up to be loyal to their government and do what they're asked, then their life is exposed. And sometimes they don't even understand why it's exposed. And now, again, no disrespect to anybody who's serving in the military. You honor your country by doing that. I'm trying to get us to see how our enemy has us as a humanity under his sway, things that we don't even question. How else? What else does he require? He requires childhood trauma. This is why the laws are so laxed everywhere. Even if they have laws against childhood abuse, they're usually so thin and so short that they don't even count. I mean, you can get more time for having drugs in your possession here in the United States than you can for abusing your children. And in some countries, it's a tradition. It's a part of their culture. I mean, you may or may not have seen the documentaries of the dancing boys, but they literally take these young men and call them women. And you're not considered homosexual if you have relationships with these dancing boys. The women are called dogs and the young men are called women in certain cultures. And this is a requirement of the enemy. Why? Because an abused or a traumatized child will always have some sort of mental disrupt. And you have to fight very hard against those things. You have to fight very hard to heal yourself and to come back from that type of trauma and not allow it to rule the choices that you make for your life. Somebody who has experienced trauma is easier to control. They're easier to manipulate. They're easier to believe a lie or believe that something is love that is not. That's just the facts. And this is why it's a part of the requirement. What else does he require? What else has our enemy taken control of? The education system. Again, you may know this, you may not know this, but I'm letting you know. A certain family, I believe it was the Rothschilds, created all of the books, Macmillan books, that are in our school system in the United States, which I'm assuming, there's some version of this across most of the West and in other countries. Because why wouldn't a diligent enemy have his hands in every single system that affects humanity? He wouldn't be a good strategist if he hadn't done that. And all of these systems have gone unchecked for years. In fact, almost 200 years. We've been teaching our children to worship money over God. We've been sexualizing our children in school. This is not up for debate. I mean, this is cold hard facts, and it can all be researched. They have a way of finding the children who may rebel or the children that they might have to keep an eye on, and they identify that with testing. That's why they have the AP system, the advanced placement, or the GATE children, right? They want to keep an eye on anybody who might be smart enough to outthink them and to outfox them. And what do they do with those children? We're going to put you on a special path so we can get you into government, so we can get you into the highest positions, into corporations, into places where you can be controlled by money. You're special. You're not like them. And it keeps them from thinking freely and creating freely. And we have a very formidable foe. He's a strategist. And I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so that you know. What else has he done? He's poisoned our food. He's got it so that the big pharma and the food companies are owned by the same people. And so the food companies puts a little bit of poison in your food that causes you to have, let's just say, diabetes. And then Big Pharma swoops right in with a diabetes medication. So that company is making double money off of the woes of humanity. This is the truth. The enemy controls that. He also controls the media. We know that, mainstream media is for the most part defunct. And now they're trying to get in on the social media sphere. We hear all the stories about, companies paying influencers to make commercials that seem to be grassroots and seems to be, oh, it's just my opinion. But they've got all these talking points. And then you watch the video and they're like, oh, everybody has the same talking points? How curious. I used to think, wow, that's weird. Seems like she's saying the same thing that he's saying, and he's saying the same thing. Well, that's all orchestrated. And now we know that there are actual government agencies paying almost $7,000 per video. So it already corrupted the mainstream media. Now it's trying to corrupt social media. And the second thing that's trying to do is flood social media with lies, AI-generated videos, half-truths, so that we can't even trust what we see anymore. They don't want us to believe our own eyes anymore. So how are we going to get to the truth? They control also our mental health. So you've all heard of the MK Ultra programs where the government used all of these different psychedelics and different torture techniques to see what it would take to break the human mind. And so you wonder where all of these serial killers and all this schizophrenia and all these different type of mental health come from. This is very much on purpose. And it's not a coincidence that there aren't any more mental health facilities, that there aren't any more hospitals where people can go and be cared for. And they've turned all of these people out into the streets, and now they're homeless, and you're walking by seeing people talk to other, somebody is not there. And this is all meant to corrupt us, to traumatize us, to hurt our souls, to keep us so confused that we just want to shut it all out and get on with our life. Let's go find something fun to do. Let's go get high. Let's just get out of here because it's all too much. They also control the medications, right? Anything that's good for us, anything that might actually help you, anything that might actually bring down the trauma and the stress or the anxiety for a moment. Oh, that's demonic. That's drug addict. That you can't have that. Take away the opioids, take away the mushrooms, take away the kratom, take away whatever it is that we find that might be helpful, that might soothe the mind. They did the same thing with marijuana until they could make money off of it. That's bad. That's demonic. You can't have it. You're an addict, blah, blah, blah. Oh, now that we can make money off of it, well, it's recreational. It's okay. Just don't do it and drive. These are the types of games that the enemy plays. Why? Because it has an agenda. Satan has an agenda, and his agenda is what I said it was, to take as many souls with him as possible. So it's no surprise, or it shouldn't be a surprise, that the church has also been infiltrated by our enemy. Now, there are known knowns. There's known corruption in the church, right? All of these televangelists who are out just stealing money from people, offering to send them prayer blankets and holy waters and, cloths that you can lay on your children and all of this nonsense that the true believers already know is nonsense. They've been around since, forever. They've been doing this forever. Well, who is it? Like Bill and Tammy Baker, all of those people, they've been around and they've been stealing from people for years. The other known knowns are these prosperity teachers, right? God will be good to you if you just tithe and everything's going to go your way and prosperity is your birthright. So the prosperity teachers have been around for many years as well. And we all know that that's not true. Yes, we know that God is good to us and he will provide for us, but it's not because we're tithing, or it's not because, we're Christian and everything should go our way. We go through ups and downs, and it's really in the trials that we gain our strength, where we're tested, where we're refined, where we become more like Jesus. True believers know that. Now we're starting to see more truth revealed in the churches, that even some of the gospel that we believe to be true has been twisted and corrupted to support the narrative of our enemy. The fact that that Israel has to be owned by the Jews completely before the Messiah can come back. Is that true? Is the whole dispensational narrative true? I ask you, and I know that we get cognitive dissonance when we start to talk about our theology and what we believe. And so I don't want to tell you on this part what I believe or what you should believe. I would ask you to do your own research. Like, keep an open mind and do a study on it. Be a Berean about it. Test the scriptures, test the word. And I know it's so easy to go to your pastor and ask him, hey, pastor, what's the truth about this? And how do you feel about that? And then his word is bond, right? I'm asking you not even to do that in this circumstance. Do your own research. Go and find resources with different points of view and then come to your own conclusion, because there are many people who used to be dispensationalists, who used to believe exactly like you believe, and now after doing their own research, they believe differently. So that's what I want us to do. The whole point of this is we need to know who our true enemy is and what his agenda is. Because when we understand that all of this is being done by Satan and his demons, and that any human being that is partnering with our true enemy can be saved. Now, I don't know if they will be saved. I'm not sure how far down the rabbit hole they've gone, whether or not they made a blood covenant commitment with the enemy. But we have to assume that if they heard the gospel and if they experienced love, and if they knew the truth, that the truth would set them free as well. And so our enemy is not the other human being. Our enemy is Satan. Satan is controlling that human being. The only way to take that person back out of Satan's grasp is to pray for them, to show them love, and to model what it is like to be a true Christ follower, so they can see that the true happiness, the true joy, the true peace, all of the fruit of the Spirit is in a relationship with Jesus. When they start to see us as a community, as a family, enjoy life, enjoy each other, love each other, then they will start to look at Mammon, the thing that they're worshiping, their God, God and start to question which one of these lives look more fulfilling. Everybody knows that money doesn't buy you happiness. It doesn't buy you love or peace or joy. We all understand that fundamentally, even though we may long and lust for it. But we've seen too many stories of rich people who self-delete, rich people who are completely miserable and full of debauchery. But what we haven't seen is a complete society and a community of people who are detached from that, detached from money and the pursuit of it, and are attached to loving each other, taking care of each other, enjoying each other's company. And that is where reformation is needed in the church culture. If you want to hear more, part 2 is coming out. So stay tuned. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you can see the second part of how to love our enemies.